The cold wind of Vorthok 9 blew through the landing zone as Jace adjusted the straps on his armor. He stood alone, surrounded by silent alien guards. Above them, dark clouds swirled like they were alive, hiding the sun. The air smelled of metal, dust, and danger. Jace was the only human in the alien army. The alien leader, High Commander Trax, watched from his tall throne, made of black stone. His yellow eyes stared at Jace like he was already dead. "You will go to the jungle," Trax said, voice loud and sharp. "Find the heart beast, kill it. Bring back its head." The other aliens around them gasped. Some laughed. A few looked away. No one had ever killed the heart-beast. No one had ever come back from the jungle. Jace knew what this was. A death sentence. But he smiled. "I'll bring you more than its head," he said calmly, then turned toward the shuttle that would drop him near the jungle's edge. The alien guards didn't speak. They just stepped back, letting him pass. Inside the shuttle, Jace sat down and checked his gear. He had one pulse rifle, a small knife, and a ration pack. That was it. No map, no backup. No hope, but Jace had something else experience. He had fought in wars across galaxies. He had survived things that would break most people. He didn't trust the aliens, and he knew this wasn't a mission. It was a trap. But he had agreed anyway. Why? Because he wanted to know why the aliens feared the jungle so much. The shuttle dropped him off near the jungle's edge and flew away fast. Like even the pilot didn't want to stay. The jungle of Vorthok 9 was not green. It was red. Red trees. Red vines. Red mist in the air. Jace stepped in carefully. Every leaf looked sharp. Every sound felt close. He moved slow, scanning every shadow, every twitch of movement. The trees creaked like they were whispering. In the distance, something roared. He didn't flinch. He walked deeper. Hours passed. The sun never truly rose. The red mist stayed thick. Strange creatures moved just out of sight, too fast, too quiet. Jace didn't fire. He saved his energy, saved his bullets. Then, suddenly, he saw it. Footprints, huge, deep, something heavy had passed this way. The ground was broken. Trees had been smashed aside. Jace followed the trail. He found a broken alien scout droid, crushed like a toy. Armor was ripped. Its lens had been melted. Claw marks, long and deep, were all over it. The heartbeast Jace, crouched, touched the claw marks. "Big," he whispered. "Fast, strong." Then he heard it. A low growl, not in front, not behind, above. He rolled to the side just as something huge dropped. From the trees, a blur of black and bone, claws flashing, teeth like knives. The heart-beast, it was taller than a tank, with 6 legs and armored plates made from something like bone. Its eyes glowed green. It screamed a terrible sound that made the ground shake. Jace didn't freeze. He ran. Not because he was afraid, but because he needed space. He dodged between trees, ducked under vines, leaped over roots. The beast chased him, smashing trees, roaring louder. It was fast, too fast. Jace dived into a rocky ditch and turned. He fired. The pulse blast hit the beast's leg. It howled and stumbled, but didn't stop. Jace fired again. The beast roared and charged. Click. Empty. Jace dropped the rifle and drew his knife. His last weapon. He gritted his teeth, eyes locked on the charging monster. But before the beast reached him, he rolled under its belly, slashing upward. The knife scraped the soft skin under its chest. The beast screamed in pain and slammed into a tree. Jace crawled away, bleeding, dirty, tired, but smiling. "I hurt you," he muttered. "You can bleed." The beast limped away, roaring, but didn't come back. Not yet. Jace pulled himself up, breathing hard. His arms hurt, his ribs ached. But he was alive, and he had a plan. He looked at the blood on the ground, dark blue. Thick like oil, he followed it. The hunt had begun, and this time was his mission, not theirs. Jace moved slowly through the blood-stained jungle, one hand on his knife, the other brushing leaves aside. The beast's thick, dark blue blood left a trail on the red ground. Every drop told him it was hurting. But not weak. Not yet. The jungle around him was not quiet. It was alive. Trees pulsed softly, like they were breathing. Vines slithered across the ground when he stepped near. And the mist. It didn't move with the wind. It moved with thought, always shifting, always changing. Like it was watching him, Jace didn't care. He was used to being hunted. But something here was different. He stepped over a broken tree trunk and froze. The jungle was quiet now. Too quiet. Even the strange insects had stopped buzzing. He crouched. Listening, then he saw it. Not the heart beast, something else. Half. A body. Alien crushed. It looked fresh, still warm. The bones were cracked like twigs. Claw marks carved deep into the chest. Jace recognized the uniform, a scout from another squad. Maybe someone sent before him. They sent others. Hush. Jace muttered. The body wasn't alone. Beside it were bones, piled, clean, organized, like trophies, like a warning. Jace stood up carefully. He looked around. No movement. Then he heard a soft hissing behind him. He spun, knife ready, but nothing was there. Just vines. Except one vine twitched and hissed again. It wasn't a vine. It was a tongue. Something fast hit him from the side. Jace rolled and slammed into a tree. He looked up just in time to see something disappear into the mist. Tall, thin, and covered in skin that changed color like a chameleon dot. Not the heart beast. Something else. Something smart. He stood up, blood running from his lip. His heart beat faster. He didn't like unknowns. "This jungle doesn't want me here," he whispered. "But I'm not leaving." He picked a sharp stick from the ground and lit the tip with his last flare. The jungle hissed back as the light pushed the mist away. He moved forward. Carefully, the blood trail was fading, soaked into the red dirt. The beast was trying to hide now, was healing. Or waiting, maybe both. Then he heard breathing, not his deep, raspy, just ahead. Jace stepped around a wide tree trunk and saw it. The heart beast again, resting in a small clearing. It had clawed open a large insect creature and was eating from its belly. Its side still bled slowly, but it looked strong. Hangry? Ready.jac didn't attack. He watched, studied. The plates on its back were hard, unbreakable. But the soft area under the belly, that's where he'd heard it before. He needed a trap. But the jungle gave him nothing easy, so he made one. He took vines, sharp bones, rocks, quietly, carefully. He tied them between trees and dug shallow holes under leaves. He coated spikes with insect poison he had collected from the dead creature's glands. He worked while the beast rested, and then he shouted, "Hey!" The beast's head snapped up. It roared and charged straight toward him. Jace ran, pulling the beast into the narrow passage he had prepared. The first trap snapped shut, a net of spiked bones. The beast tore through it. But now it was bleeding more. Then it stepped into the shallow pit. Its front leg fell in sharp sticks, stabbed upward. The beast screamed in pain. Jace turned, face covered in sweat, chest burning from the run. He rushed forward, slid onto the beast, and stabbed deep, right where the blood was. Already flowing, the knife sank in. The beast's claws raked across his back, but only just. His armor held. With a twist of the blade, he pulled back, rolled away. The beast slammed to the ground, roaring and stopped moving. Jace lay there for a moment, breathing hard, body shaking. He had done it. He had killed the heart beast. But the jungle was not done. He heard something in the trees. Then 2 yellow eyes opened in the dark, and another pair, and another. He stood slowly. He wasn't alone. The jungle was watching, and now the real hunt had begun. Jace stood over the fallen monster, breathing hard. The heart beast lay still, its huge body covered in thick plates of bone. Its green eyes, once full of rage, were now dull. Its blood dark and sticky spread across the red ground. The jungle around them had gone quiet again, but Jace knew. The jungle was watching. He didn't have much time. He knelt beside the beast and touched its armored back. It was heavier than steel, rough like stone, but under the armor, the beast was flesh. Jace pulled out his knife, the blade now stained, and bent, and started cutting. He worked fast. Bone by bone, he carved away the plates. His hands were sore, his back still bleeding from the last attack. But he kept going. This wasn't just survival. This was message. They sent him here to die. Now he would return wearing the very thing meant to kill him. He would make them look him in the eye. He cut for hours, thick bones, sharp edges. The jungle heat pressed on him, but he didn't stop. He shaped the skull of the beast into a helmet, made shoulder plates from ribs, chest armor from the back shell, tied them together with alien vines and hide. He wrapped the skull helmet around his head. It was heavy, but it felt right, like a warning, like revenge. Suddenly, something moved in. The trees, Jace stood, knife ready, eyes glowing. Dozens, but nothing attacked. Not yet. He narrowed his eyes. "You waiting for me to drop dead?" he muttered. Then something stepped forward. Not a beast, not a monster. An alien, slender, tall, skin like moss. Armor grown from its own flesh. Female, she stared at him silently. She didn't speak, but raised a hand in a slow gesture. Not a threat. Not fear. Respect. JCE. Lowered his blade. Just slightly. More of her kind stepped out from the mist. Half a dozen, maybe more. They moved like ghosts, silent, deadly. But none attacked. They only looked at what he wore. The bones, the helmet, the blood. Then one of them pointed to the heart beast's corpse and bowed. JACE blinked. "What?" "You?" he asked quietly. They didn't answer. Instead, the female came closer, knelt, and took one of the beast's teeth. She pressed it into Jace's palm. A gift. He looked down at it, long, curved, glowing faintly with energy. A symbol then, just like mist, they disappeared. Gone into the jungle, Jace stood still for a long moment. That wasn't part of the plan. He shook his head and started walking again. He didn't know the way out, but something in him had changed. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was something more. As night fell, the jungle grew colder. Strange lights floated in the trees. Small creatures howled in the distance. Jace found a cave and crawled inside. He sat down, wrapping the bone armor tighter. It smelled like blood and fire, but it kept him warm. He looked at the beast's tooth in his hand again. What did it mean? Were those aliens, guardians of the jungle? Were they watching the heart beast? Had they let him kill it? He didn't know, but he knew one thing now. This jungle had rules, not written in words, written in blood, in action, in survival. And he had passed. He wasn't prey anymore. He was something else, a predator in the morning. Jace made his way toward the extraction point. His suit's beacon had just enough power to send one last ping, if the aliens back at base still cared. They'd come, or maybe they'd send a drone to confirm his death. Either way, he'd be waiting. When he reached the top of a cliff, he looked back at the jungle. The red mist was moving again, slowly curling away from the place where the beast had died. He stood tall, wearing its bones, and smiled. Back at the alien base, High Commander Trax stood near a large holoscreen. A junior officer ran in, shaking. "Sir, there's movement at the extraction point. Life signs. Human." Trax narrowed his eyes. "Impossible. That jungle kills everything." The officer gulped. "He's wearing something, sir. Bone armor. Looks like the heart beast's skull." The room fell silent. Another alien whispered, "By tradition, if he wears the beast's bones." Trax snarled, "Shut up." But it was too late. The law was clear. If one killed the jungle's ruler and wore its bones, they became something more. They became the jungle's chosen, and no alien leader could deny that title, not without breaking the old laws. And, if there was one thing aliens feared more than humans, it was breaking their own sacred laws. Trax clenched his fists. That human was supposed to die. He growled. But Jace wasn't dead. He was coming back, and he wasn't the same man they had sent. The sky above the alien outpost was dark with storm clouds when the warning alarms began to ring. At first, no one believed it. Motion at the jungle perimeter. The young alien officer asked, confused. "But no one returns from Vorthak 9. Another voice replied, "Nervous? It's not a beast. It's walking on two legs." Inside the command tower, High Commander Trax stood frozen. He didn't blink. He stared at the screen as the blurry figure walked through the red mist step by step closer to the gates. The soldiers gathered behind him, whispering, "He's alive? Impossible. It can't be." Trax said nothing. He just stared, because he recognized that walk. It was Jace, and he was wearing bones outside. The gates creaked open. Slowly, every alien in the courtyard stood still, there. Weapons lowered, their eyes wide. Through the thick mist stepped the human shoulders broad. Helmet made from the skull of the heartbeast. Blood dried across his armor like war paint. Jace didn't look at anyone. He walked straight through the gate. Head high, eyes sharp. Not a soldier, not a victim. A conqueror behind him. The wind carried the distant cry of something ancient-like. The jungle itself was mourning the death of its king. The crowd parted as Jace passed. No one dared stop him. No one said a word. Trax waited on the central platform, his armored guards standing beside him. His jaw tightened when Jace climbed the steps. When their eyes met, the silence was thick. "You," Trax said slowly, his voice low. "You survived." Jace gave a small smirk. "You sound disappointed." The guard stepped forward. "Hold," Trax ordered. His eyes studied the bone armor, the skull helmet, the beast's tooth on a necklace around Jace's neck. Every part of it matched the ancient stories. "Do you know what you've done?" Trax asked. Jace nodded. "I killed your jungle king," he said. "And now I wear his face." Gasps echoed around them. A few aliens lowered their heads. Some dropped to one knee. Trax's teeth clenched. "By law, you are champion." "Of Vorthok," Jace interrupted. "I've read your legends before I came here. You thought you were sending me to my death? But you sent me into a trial," Trax hissed. "You mock our ways." Jace stepped closer. "No, I followed them. Better than you did." The commander said nothing, because he knew it was true. By their oldest laws, Jace was now something more. A symbol, a figure of power. The jungle had tested him and accepted him. No alien could ignore that, not even tracks. Later that night, the fires burned high in the great square. Hundreds of aliens stood around the sacred fire pit. Ritual drums echoed in the background. Jay stood at the center, still wearing the bones. An elder stepped forward, a priest with silver skin and glowing eyes. He carried a long staff wrapped in vines. He looked at Jace and said in their ancient tongue, "The jungle accepts him. The beast has fallen. The bones have chosen." Then, in a deep voice that rolled through the air, "By the laws of the old world, we now name him Bonewalker, Jungle's champion, keeper of Vorthok's path." The crowd repeated the title again and again. Bonewalker, Bonewalker, Bonewalker. Jace didn't smile. He didn't cheer. He just stood still, like a statue carved from willpower and pain. In his mind, he remembered the dead bodies he had passed, the traps, the beasts, the glowing eyes in the dark. He had survived, but he hadn't. Forgotten later, as the fire dimmed, a soft voice whispered beside him, "You weren't meant to return." Jace turned. It was the alien woman from the jungle, the one who had given him the tooth. Up close now. Her face was sharp and beautiful in a wild wail like the jungle had carved her itself. Her skin glowed faintly in the firelight. "I remember you," Jace said. "I am Rasira," she replied. "Watcher of the deep vines. You followed me?" She shook her head. "We never stopped watching. The jungle lets you pass. So we did too." Jace narrowed his eyes. "Did you let me kill the heart beast?" Rasira smiled. "The jungle chooses. We do not interfere. But we knew. If you lived, everything would change." He looked down at the bones on his chest. "It already has." She nodded, and then whispered, "Trax is afraid. His rule is ending." Jace turned toward the tower. He could feel it too, power shifting. The people didn't look at Trax anymore. They looked at him, and Trax would not give up power easily. Jace tightened the beast tooth around his neck. The real fight was just beginning. Jace stood at the edge of the alien city, watching the nightlights glow like stars on the ground. The air smelled of smoke, metal, and something older, something wild. Behind him, the jungle waited, silent but awake. The bone armor creaked slightly as he shifted. He hadn't removed it since he returned. Not out of pride, but because he didn't trust anyone. Here, especially not the one who sent him to die. Trax, the alien leader, had said little since the ritual, but Jace saw the truth in his yellow eyes. Rage, fear, and something else, a plan forming. The next morning, the council chamber filled with sharp voices. 10 alien elders stood in a circle of stone, their robes brushing the floor. Their skin was marked with glowing tribal lines, each one different, showing their house and rank. Trax stood in the center. He slammed his staff down. "The human cannot lead." Whispers flew like arrows. "He passed the trial," one elder said calmly. "Wore the bones," said another. "The law is clear," added a third. "The jungle has chosen." Trax growled. "He's not even one of us. How can he lead our warriors? How can he stand in our sacred circle?" Then a quiet voice spoke. It came from the far end of the chamber. Jace. He had entered without sound, the skull helmet under his arm, his human boots echoing on the stone floor. He walked straight into the circle. Trax stepped back, caught off guard. Jace looked around, then placed the helmet down in the center of the room. "Ask the bones," he said. "If I'm not worthy, let the beast's spirit speak." The room fell silent. No one dared laugh, because every elder knew what he meant. The old legend said the bones of a true jungle king carried energy, spirit, memory. Only those chosen could wear them without madness or death. Jace wore them, lived in them, and looked more alive than any warrior present. One elder stepped forward and touched the helmet. He hissed, recoiling. "It burns." Another reached forward and bowed his head. "The spirit is calm," he whispered. "It knows him." Trax trembled with rage. "This is madness." "It is law," the eldest elder replied. "The law of the bones." Trax stormed from the room. But his war wasn't over. That night, rumors spread through the streets. The human dishonored the trial. He tricked the jungle. He killed the beast using poison. False whispers, lies, and everyone knew who started them. But some still listened. Jace walked through the marketplace wearing only part of his armor now. The skull helmet hung behind his back like a banner. As he passed, aliens moved aside. Some nodded, some looked down. A few glared. He heard one voice behind him. "He'll bring ruin." But he didn't stop walking. He had survived worse than words. In the training yard, young warriors gathered. Alien fighters practiced with blades, staffs, and strange pulsing weapons. When Jace stepped into the circle, they froze. He didn't. Speak just picked up a practice staff, then pointed it at the biggest one in the yard. A tall warrior with black skin and 3 shining eyes. "Show me how you fight," Jace said to the warrior charged. Fast, strong, precise, but Jace was faster. He dodged, stepped in, and swept the alien off his feet in 2 moves. The yard went quiet. The next fighter stepped forward, then the next, then the next. One by one, they challenged him. One by one, they fell. Jace helped each one up with respect. He didn't humiliate them, he taught them. Soon, the young warriors circled him not in fear, but in awe. Later, Razira found him sitting under the moonlight, sharpening a jagged piece of bone. "You are making friends," she said. "I'm not." "Here to be liked," Jace replied. "But they need a real leader. It's not a coward hiding behind old laws." She sat beside him, silent for a while, then said, "You know what Trax will do?" Jace nodded. "He'll break the law, quietly from the shadows. He can't win with words or blades. So he'll use poison and lies." Razira placed her hand on his arm. "There are those who believe in you now, more than you think." Jace looked at her tired eyes, but steady. "I didn't come to lead them," he said. "But you are," she whispered, then stood and left. That night, in the dark corners of the alien stronghold, Trax met with cloaked figures, assassins. He handed them a vial of liquid that glowed purple. "Use this. Make it look like sickness. Quiet, no blood." They bowed and vanished. Trax stood alone, looking out at the stars. "The jungle may have chosen," he whispered, "but I will erase that choice." In the shadows, something watched, something wild, something ancient. The jungle had chosen its champion, and the jungle did not forget. The sun was just rising over the alien city, painting the stone towers in gold. When Jace woke up with a burning pain in his chest, his vision blurred. His throat felt like fire. His skin was cold. He knew right away. This was no sickness. It was poison. He stumbled to the wash basin, splashed water on his face, and saw the purple foam at the corners of his mouth. He growled. Razira found him an hour later, collapsed near the training pit. Gripping his chest, he was still alive barely. She lifted him with surprising strength and dragged him into a hidden chamber beneath the city-an old place, built into the roots of a great stone tree. There, a healer worked quickly. A jungle woman. Her hands glowed green as she poured strange sap into his mouth. "This is poison from the starshade flower," she said. "It is rare, expensive, illegal." Razira's jaw clenched. "Trax used it. He's afraid." The healer looked at Jace. "Then he's right to be." 2 days passed. Jace didn't die, He fought the poison like he fought everything else through fire and pain. When he stood again, his legs were weak, but his eyes burned brighter than ever. Razira handed him his bone armor. "They think you're dead," she said softly. They even started to celebrate. Jace smiled bitterly. "Let's ruin their party." That night, the palace courtyard was filled with nobles and soldiers. Trax stood on the high platform, arms raised. "The human is gone," he announced. "The jungle's mistake is corrected. We return to order." Some cheered. Others stayed silent. The firelight danced across stone walls and sharp weapons, and then a loud crash echoed through the square. The side doors burst open, and out of the darkness stepped a figure wrapped in bone, Jace. Alive, stronger than ever. Trax froze. The cheering died in an instant. Gasps spread like fire. Jace walked into the center of the courtyard and spoke clearly, voice steady. "You poisoned me." Trax's eyes narrowed. "You have no proof." "I don't need proof," Jace said. "I have truth." He looked around at the crowd. "You all saw me return from the jungle. You know the law. I followed your tradition. I wore the bones. I honored your gods." He raised a hand, pointing at Trax. "But he breaks the very laws he swore to protect." The silence deepened until a voice called out, "He speaks truth." Another followed. He earned his place. Of warriors dropped to one knee. Razira stepped forward. "This is not rebellion. This is justice." Trax's guards raised their weapons, but Jace was faster. He pulled the bone dagger from his belt and threw it straight into the chest of the lead guard. Chaos erupted. Aliens shouted. Weapons clashed. Torches fell. But it wasn't a battle. It was an uprising. Trax's loyalists were few. The people had seen too much, too many lies, too much fear. Jace fought like a storm, dodging, striking, never hesitating. One guard tried to strike him from behind, but Razira blocked the blade with her arm. Wincing as it cut deep, Jacha spun and took the attacker down. "Are you?" he began. "I'm fine," she grunted, blood dripping from her elbow. "Finish it." Trax fled to the upper tower. Jace followed. The spiral stairs were narrow. The wind howled around them at the top. The door was already open. Trax stood at the edge of the tower, cloak whipping in the wind, sword drawn. "You think you've won," he spat. "You're just a human. You don't understand our world." "Understand enough," Jace said, stepping forward. "You came to us like a stray animal," Trax growled. "Now you dare act like a king. I came to you in good faith. You sent me to die." Jace drew his blade, half bone, half steel. "Now I've returned, and by your own law, I stand above you." Trax roared and charged. Their blades clashed. In a storm of sparks and fury, Trax was fast. But Jace had fought in 100 wars. He knew how to wait, how to watch, how to strike at the right moment when Trax overreached. Jace ducked, spun, and slammed the hilt of his blade into the alien's ribs. Trax stumbled. Jace kicked his sword away. The alien dropped to his knees, gasping. "End it," he hissed. Jace raised his blade, but stopped. "No," he said. "That's not what a real leader does." He looked over the edge. Thousands had gathered below, watching, waiting. Jace turned back to Trax. "You're not worth my blade." He threw the sword aside and walked away. Later that night, the city was quiet. No more fighting, only rebuilding. Jace stood on the high platform, Razira beside him, her arm bandaged, her eyes tired. The crowd below listened as he spoke. "I didn't come here to lead. I came because I was sent to die. But your jungle chose me. Your laws accepted me. And when your leader betrayed, your trust high stood for you." He held up the beast tooth, now tied with cloth from Trax's own robe. This is not about humans or aliens. It's about honor. And I promise you, so long as I stand here, you will never be betrayed again. The crowd roared, but far beyond the city walls. In the deep shadows of Vorthok 9, something older stirred. Because when one beast falls, another always rises. The sky above Vorthok 9 turned black with storm clouds. Jay stood alone on the edge of the city walls. His bone armor cracked from battle, his blade sheathed. The wind pulled at his cloak, and far below, the jungle swayed like it was alive again, waiting. Behind him, the alien city had fallen silent. No more chanting, no more rebellion. Just a question in every mind. What would he choose now? Trax was still alive. He had been locked in the sacred tower, guarded by two jungle-born warriors, those who once served the forest more than the throne. His power was gone, his pride shattered. But tradition still offered one final path. Jace could end him by alien law. The one who wears the beast's bones can execute the old ruler and take full control of the throne. Rhaezyra approached him. Quietly, "He's ready," she said. "He won't fight. He accepts his fate." Jace didn't answer. His eyes stayed on the jungle. "Why do you hesitate?" she asked. He finally turned to her. "I've seen enough blood." Rhaezyra's voice softened. "If you don't finish this, there are those who will rise again. Others like him, maybe," Jace said. "But if I kill him now, I'll become just like him." The council gathered that evening in the central court. Fires burned in large stone bowls. Warriors stood along the edges, silent. Citizens packed the walkways and rooftops, watching. Jace stepped into the circle. Trax was brought forward, hands bound, shoulders hunched. He had lost weight, lost his shine. But his yellow eyes still held a flicker of fire. Jace looked at the council. "You all want me to end this by killing him," he said. "But maybe what we need is not another death but a change." He turned to Trax. "You led by fear," Jace said. "You controlled people through threats and silence. You broke your own laws." Trax didn't argue. Jace stepped closer. "But I see now. If I just kill you, the cycle continues. Another leader will rise. Another will fall. The system stays broken." He raised his voice. "So I'm not here to be your new king. I'm not here to sit on a throne." He pulled the beast's skull helmet from his back and held it high. "I came here to survive. I returned with the jungle's gift. I stand now not as your ruler, but as your reminder." He set the helmet down on the stone floor. "From now on, let the bones lead, not a man. Let law decide, not fear." The crowd was silent. Then someone knelt, then another, then dozens, until the entire square bowed, not to a king, but to a warrior who chose mercy. Trax was exiled by law. A fallen leader who is spared must leave the city and walk into the jungle, unarmed. Alone, some expected him to cry out, to beg. But he didn't. He walked out of the gate slowly, eyes on the horizon. The jungle mist swallowing him whole. No one followed, no one watched, not even. Days passed. Then weeks. Jace remained in the city, helping rebuild what had been lost. He refused the throne, but agreed to guide the new council. Warriors came to him for training. Young aliens asked him to teach them the jungle's ways. He spoke with farmers, builders. Hunters listened more than he led. Rhaezyra stayed at his side. They built a small home near the city's edge, close to the forest, not far from where it all began. One quiet evening, Jace walked into the jungle. Again, alone, no armor, no weapon, just the beast's tooth hanging from his neck. He sat on the same cliff where he had first fought the heart beast, Birds sang in the red trees. Mist curled around his boots. The jungle was still alive, still powerful, but now it knew him. And he knew it behind him. Razira appeared. "You came here to die," she said gently. Jace nodded. That was the plan. And now? He looked up at the dark sky. "I think I came here to become something else." Back in the city, a new sculpture stood in the square. Not of a king, not of a god, but of a man. A human warrior wearing beast. Bones, standing tall. Looking not down on the people but forward, toward the jungle, toward the future. And in the depths of the jungle, where light never reached, a shadow moved. Eyes opened. Not green, but gold. A low growl echoed through the trees. The jungle had a new champion, but balance always demanded another.